Hello, folks. Welcome to the Crime Dawg podcast. I'm your host, Johnny FIORICA, retired detective with the Rochester, New York Police Department after serving 30 years. Sitting alongside me, also a retired detective from the Rochester, New York Police Department, David Simpson. Folks, we sit before you today with a wealth of knowledge and a ton of experience, but if you want to see what David and I accomplished over the course of our careers, you can check our bios out on our YouTube channel, or you can go to our website, thecrimedogpodcast.com. While you're there, check out our cool merch store. David, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Happy to be here, Johnny.
David, we were texting back and forth yesterday and today. Me, you, our super producer, Danny Agnew. You know, New York State strikes again. You wanted my attention, basically. Now you got it. That was Pam Bondi's philosophy. Pam Bondi, President Trump's newly appointed Attorney General, dropped lawsuits on New York State yesterday, or a lawsuit on New York State yesterday, which was Wednesday, where she announced lawsuits against the New York State Governor, Kathy Hochul, Letitia James, who is our New York State Attorney General, and the DMV Chief, Mark Schroeder. Basically, the meat and potatoes of the lawsuit basically says, and we'll kind of just dumb it down even for us, there's a 2019 law that bars inquiries into immigration status and bans state DMV from sharing personal information with the feds and law enforcement unless it's ordered by a judge. Licensees are also alerted if a federal immigration agency requests their information. That's the main thing right there, too. So, David, that is the law in New York State. They ban federal agencies and law enforcement from making inquiries into the DMV system regarding illegals. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, and what they're saying is they're not as concerned. They don't like it, but they're not as concerned with, for example, New York State not doing anything to help them. Like literally just not doing anything to hinder, not doing anything to help, just kind of like neutral. Okay.
Right.
That they don't like, but it is what it is.
Right.
But what New York State and some other states are doing is they're proactively taking a criminal and assisting them in avoiding federal apprehension.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the problem is. Whether it be someone gets arrested for the sex abuse of a child and law enforcement's not able to say, and the guy's here illegally, or girl or woman, you're not allowed to contact the feds and say, hey, we picked this guy up for sex abuse, for rape. Why don't you lodge a detainer on him? Right. He's here illegally, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Not doing that. So they're allowing this person to potentially get out. So they're assisting the criminal.
Right.
Okay, that's helping. Okay, that's not being neutral. The same thing with the DMV thing. If there's any inquiries, they're tipping them off. So there's where the crux of the problem is. And I don't think it's going to end very well for the governor or Tishy.
You know, it's funny because it's hysterical because if you look at left-leaning media and New York State, the way they describe the law, and I'm going to give you a little piece of this right now, they say that state law allows people who might not be in the U.S. legally. So if you might not be here legally, which that means you're illegally here.
You're either here illegally or here illegally.
Right, exactly.
It's black and white. I can't figure this out.
This
isn't cold fusion.
Right. So this is what there's a allows people who might not be here legally to get a driver's license. Then they go on to say, according to New York State, this is called the so-called Greenlight law. It was enacted, ready for this one? Partly to improve public safety on the roads as people without licenses sometimes drive without one or without having passed a road test. Okay? The state also makes it easier for holders of such licenses to get auto insurance, thus cutting down on crashes involving uninsured drivers.
That's literally like giving money to a bank robber so he doesn't rob banks.
Right. By the way, fantastic analogy. This is hysterical. I mean, it's really funny.
Only a New York Democratic politician can come up with this.
Yeah, it is BS. And the funny thing is, we all know it's BS because this whole let me give you a driver's license or ID, and it was just basically to give illegals an ID so they could vote, number one. That's first of all. and more importantly, to normalize their illegal existence in the USA. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if she saw the governor's statement she put out on the twits.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've honed in on that just drives me insane is her comment that she and those politicians in New York are cracking down on violent criminals.
Yeah.
There could not be a bigger lie, a bigger fraud statement than that.
Yeah.
Because the Democratic Party in New York State literally has "We love violent criminals" on the front of their jersey. Not on the back, on the front.
Right.
Okay. They've done nothing but help, assist, enable, roll out the red carpet, throw rose petals, whatever you want to say, to assist violent criminals in committing their crimes against the good citizens of New York. So for her to say that is just a joke.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you're right. She said that. So her official statement that you sent to me, by the way, I kind of looked at. I'm going to read off that earlier today. Attorney General Pam Bondi marched in front of television cameras. Okay, if there's anybody that marches in front of television cameras quicker than anybody, it's Hochul and Tisch. For a dramatic media briefing to announce she was filing charges against New York State related to our immigration laws. Hours later, when legal papers were shared with reporters, we learned that this was smoke and mirrors. The Department of Justice was filing routine civil action about a law passed in 2019 that has been upheld by the courts time and time again. I'd like to see how it was upheld, but who was suing? Because you had a Democratic president in Washington. You had a Democratic administration. Who was suing New York State to check the validity of this green law or Greenlight law in 2019? It's such BS, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, she used it to mention Elon Musk. I mean, I never seen the Democrats in a position where they are flailing so badly. I mean, they're like a drowning swimmer who can't get a life preserver to save their own lives. You know what I mean? Or they can't hang on to one. David, you know what? I was watching Fox News, and when I quote people, I try to quote them correctly and give them credit because I don't want anyone to think like I steal anybody else's material. Jesse Waters last night on The Five had such a great point. Here's what he said. He said, the Democrats don't have the White House. They don't have the Senate, and they don't have the House. They don't have mainstream media anymore because the podcasters are definitely overshadowing them. They don't have Twitter anymore.
And they don't have the bank anymore.
They don't have all the things that they
USAID is done. That's their bank. So that funds all that stuff.
Right. So basically he was saying when you strip them down and you take away all of the things that protected the Democratic Party for years, which were all the things I just named, you strip them down to their bare core. This is what you're getting. You're getting their rallies, come on, are cringeworthy. There's not a Democrat locally, statewide, or national that could look at these so-called rallies and they're singing and they're swearing in the microphones.
So great, though. It's so great.
It is great, but I mean, it's so sad.
It's so literally the criminal walking into jail with their hands being buckled behind their back, screaming, "I didn't do it! I didn't do it! Let me go!"
It's amazing, though. I mean, I've been watching this, and it's a total meltdown. But Jesse was right because, like I was saying, he basically said, when you take away all the tools that they had in their toolbox, and now they don't have those tools, and all those tools, by the way, it was like rigged. It was all rigged. It was all stuff rigged for them. And now they have to stand on their own 2 feet. They have to stand in front of a camera, and they can't do it. They can't do it. And I'm going to tell you another thing. It hasn't happened yet, and I don't think it's going to happen. But Maxine Waters and that other black Jasmine, whatever her name is, whatever that politician is, they are literally trying to incite their base to start riots. They're using the same vernacular and the same words that they used in 2020 to incite their base to do rioting. It hasn't worked thus far. And I'll tell you right now, the Trump administration isn't going to tolerate another 2020.
Well, they're not getting it yet, but they've lost a lot of support. They lost a lot of support during the election cycle,
Yeah.
But now when the USAID stuff comes up and people are realizing there's thieves that have taken their money and misused it, people are pissed. And, it doesn't matter if you're a low-income individual in the inner city or the richest of the rich, people are pissed off because if you take from me, we got a problem. And that's how it is on the street, and how it is in the corporate world. And people know they've been taken from. And, I don't think they're going to get the support that they think they are. And I think a lot of the people at these protests are just paid actors. They're just brought in with the props and hold the sign and here's $20 gift cards, $40 gift cards. Like it's BS. It's nonsense. It's noise.
Yeah, it's definitely white noise. It's disgusting. We'll see where it goes. But, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy watching it, but to a point, because I'm like, this is disgusting. This is where America has come to. And what, like I said, and we say it all the time, like him or hate him. Trump just gets stuff done, and if you talk about the USAID, and you talk about Kamala Harris's purse that they blew through $1 billion plus in 90 or 100 days. They are just the party of let me spend other people's money until we run out of it. And then when we run out of it, we blame everybody else for everything.
It's thievery. They're thieves. Right. I mean, when you take some money, if I took money from you, and I said, I'm taking this, I'm going to donate it to so-and-so's retirement party. And I don't donate the money to that retirement party, or I give them $10 instead of the 50, and I pocket the rest, or I give it to my other buddy. That's stealing.
Yeah.
That's fraud. So, let's not kid ourselves. The Democrats in power were thieves. They're fraudsters. Let me just read one statement, Johnny, if I can, that she put out. This is the statement that I was referring to. It says, we welcome this is Kathy Hochul. We welcome law-abiding individuals who want to work, pay taxes, and contribute to our communities, while at the same time protecting the public safety of all New Yorkers by cracking down on violent criminals. I mean, this is the woman that leads the party who literally has done everything to embolden and enable violent criminals, whether it be bail reform and raise the age and any other criminal justice reforms, not even getting into immigration. And she's going to have the audacity to say that she's cracking down on violent criminals. Geez, they must be shaking in their boots.
Well, what I find interesting about that statement is she says, we welcome all New Yorkers. They're not New Yorkers. New Yorkers are people who are there who are U.S. citizens, or who are people that came over here legally, obtained their citizenship, or they're waiting for their citizenship. They are not New Yorkers. Illegal immigrants are not U.S. citizens, and they're not from Boston, New York, Chicago, and these other liberal cities that cling on to everybody is welcome here. Okay, you're not a New Yorker until you're a citizen.
How about the paying the taxes part?
Yeah.
What percentage of these people that got in over the last 4 years by sneaking over the border and committing the crime of illegal entry are paying taxes?
Right. Zero.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know. It's just sad, man. David, great takes as usual. Folks, listen, if you enjoyed this episode of the Crime Dawg podcast, click like and subscribe on our YouTube page. Also, if you cannot get enough of us, David and I have a live show called the Crime Dawg Live Show every Saturday on iHeartRadio. If you're from the local area, you can go old school and move that radio dial to Wham 1180. That is the radio station locally that we are on. If not, you can check out iHeartRadio's app and their desktop. Folks, listen, man, thanks for listening to the Crime Dawg podcast. We hope you stick with us for future episodes. But like my brother-in-law, Frankie Grassi, says, if you can't make it, who cares?